Cool.
Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of the Retro Bros.
This is a bit of a weird Retro Bros, this one. It's very different.
It is.
The last one we did 10 years ago.
It's been a little bit too long, to be honest. Yeah,
What are you
right.
drinking?
So what? I'm drinking tea. What are you drinking?
I got coffee today. The same kind of patterns and pictures as your poster in the background. Which is cool.
Oh, yeah. I have Zelda Ocarina of Time mug. So what are we talking about today?
Well, it has been a little while since we've done a Retro Bros, and obviously season 3 was very much about us going to new stores and more international stores. So we did a few in different places and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We've still got to do one in Japan, right? We've still got that one that's like impending. That's
been pending for ages.
But
it's recorded. It's all there.
yeah. But I just thought this could be a bit different because with everything that's going on, it makes sense to do like a bit more of a kind of a podcast one.
And I think a good way to kick that off is if people don't know about us or know sort of what we're about, is to explain why we started the Retro Bros. Well, how did that come about?
So yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, you're the presenter of the Retro Bros, presenter, producer really, and I'm kind of the director and producer of the show as well, right? I mean, we don't do it's not like super staged. It's like, let's go to the shop, let's look at what's there, and let's record.
It's the opposite.
Exactly,
it's the
let's
opposite
record whatever's fun. So I guess we just started with boot sale bargains, right? We just go into boot sales and getting old stuff. And it wasn't even supposed to be something that we recorded. It was supposed to just be fun because we liked collecting retro stuff. And it was just so sad to see, a Mega Drive or a NES or an old, SNES controller like smashed up in this box of wires outside in a boot sale in the rain. With so much time on your hands, you tend to want to go back to the roots and play games that you used to enjoy. And, I used to absolutely love when I was like, probably around 8 to about 15, 16. So like, during that period of time, I would go to boot sales frequently and I would always end up buying NES games. And I used to go home and I used to play those games all the time on my own because it was like the perfect way of just inexpensively playing new games. And so I've got like really fond memories of going to boot sales and finding that stuff. And so for me, it was like a callback to doing that. And it was like the only time really we had to do it, Hounslow, right? Hounslow boot sale.
Hounslow boot sale. Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. When I was like a teenager, like a young teenager, I'd go and hunt out anything that I could find that was games and take it home. And that's why I know all the tricks about cleaning stuff up, because I would clean it all off. Like I'd toothpicks up the like all the side seams and all that stuff, get all the dirt off them, make sure they're working, unscrew them, clean them out, and then I would take them to the game shops. Like I would take them to like Game Station and trade them in for money, and then buy new games and I would sell them. And I was hustling. That's what I did when I was younger, like to try and make a bit of money.
I think it was the first 6 episodes, something like that, of the Retro Bros, or maybe it was the first 7 episodes or something, where we were just going to boot sales predominantly and buying stuff. We found some really cool things during that time. I mean, we found the Epoch twice. We didn't even know what that was. When I first saw that, I was like, that thing looks so cool. I would buy it just for the box art. And it was only on the way home we realized that, we got on Wikipedia and it said like, this thing is very rare. There's like, 100 of them in the world.
I know. Oh no, it was only released in Japan, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
first
like
ever handheld console or whatever it was. This piece of junk, and then we opened it and it was like perfect condition.
Brand new, yeah, crazy.
And so like getting that kind of stuff, all the controllers that we got and all the little bits and bobs. There was a few GameCube games. I think we found a couple of Dreamcasts in good condition.
Yeah, we did.
Which we just, like you said, just clean up.
Just found a couple of Dreamcasts.
A couple of Dreamcasts, yeah. And they'll be like,
so
50p or like, this is such a sad sight to see this Dreamcast hidden away somewhere.
There was something nice about the idea that we were going to buy that and give it to a good home of someone who really wants it and will really play it. But
and we did it a few times. Like we sold a couple of Mega Drives. I sold a PlayStation with a few original games.
We sold by the Epochs.
We sold one of the Epochs, which was
someone
really
in
nice.
America.
That person was really happy with that.
Really happy,
like there's someone across the world somewhere in America or wherever it was, like who's sitting there thinking, "Wow, I'm so lucky! I found this console I've been looking for years and years because me and you went to a boot sale and realized what it was." Obviously, other than the boot sale stuff and buying, like the NES obviously came out a lot like before my time, but it was like so current in my life growing up that it felt like a console that was bought for me, even though I probably just bought it myself or was given it from a kind of hand-me-down from Steve or someone.
Yeah, of course.
But the truth is I can't really remember I think the first console I ever actually properly bought, and I remember it coming in a big box, was the Dreamcast.
Really?
That was the first console that I ever bought for myself. Like I never had a console bought for me, and I think the NES and stuff, I don't remember specifically buying one. I just remember buying games for them. But I remember going online on eBay and bidding on a Dreamcast in, like, I think it was like 2002 or something like that, 2001. That's the first, and that's probably why it's one of my favorite consoles, you know, because of that time, and like buying the game so carefully, you know, picking them individually, what am I going to play next, and going through them like that.
Which was like amazing, because I think that was probably our first internet experience. Like, we've got the internet, what is it? I don't know, but look, you can search. But that was our first experience of the internet. That
really weird orange dial-up tone.
But I remember getting the Mega Drive 2 for my, I can't remember, it must have been like my 6th birthday or something, like, or maybe 6th or 8th birthday. And I remember I really wanted the SNES. I really wanted the SNES. And we went everywhere, shop to shop, and it was sold out. And finally, I think we went into like PC World or something.
Yeah,
and
Eastbourne.
It was PC World in Eastbourne. Yeah, I do remember. And I went in, and it was the last shop. And have you got any? And they were like, well, the only one we've got is the display console. And Mum just wouldn't get it. She wouldn't get us a display console because
but the guy in the shop was like, I wouldn't.
It doesn't come with a box, which is like such a huge part of it. You know?
Imagine, completely ripped off.
Imagine not having a
console,
box,
which is dusty, and everyone's touched it, and it doesn't come in a box. Like, no.
Yeah, but then so it was like, oh, it's okay, we'll get you something. And then so we went into Argos. It was Argos in Hastings, and we queued up and got the Mega Drive 2. And I remember being a bit sad. Like, I was happy, but I was a bit like, we'll see. And then we got it home, and man, like, I don't think I played more games on any console than I have on that Mega Drive. We spent years playing.
Yeah.
Like,
the SNES was so fresh and so new, and it had such a cool looking like design. And the Mega Drive 2 was like the most uninspired design. But I've got fond memories of that console now, like in terms of the way it looks, because of you getting it and having so many good memories on it. And I was playing a lot of those games with you, NBA Jam. We should probably start talking about some of the games we played, because it's some of the games played.
Yeah, it's like a trip down memory lane. Yeah, I mean, let me think. Like Mega Drive 2, what were some big games? Obviously, all the Sonics. I remember really, really vividly playing, like, to death, playing Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and then Sonic and Knuckles, and then a variation of like Sonic and Knuckles and putting number 2 in or whatever. I remember there's one that you put in and you couldn't play. It was like, I can't remember.
You couldn't play?
Yeah, you could, because you put Sonic and Knuckles in and it's got a flip at the top, and then you can put one of the other games on top.
Well, I never really understood what to put on top. I never did that.
So what I did, right? So what you do is you put Sonic and Knuckles in, and then you can put Sonic 2 on top of Sonic and Knuckles,
right? And
you can play Sonic 2 as Knuckles.
Okay, that's so cool.
How cool is that? And I remember at the time being like, how did they do that? I was like, that is crazy. Streets of Rage 1 and 2, like Streets of Rage 1 and 2. And I think we had Streets of Rage 3 that you bought from Japan. Is that right?
No. I bought Streets of Rage 1 from the boot sale, and it was an import from Japan.
Right.
Bare Knuckle. Do you remember?
Are you sure? Did you?
Yeah,
I probably shouldn't say this.
I got home,
it didn't fit in the Mega Drive.
And then I actually spoke to Steve, who said on the phone, he was like, yeah, no, those ones don't fit. Apparently you can take the sides off though, and then it fits and it actually works. And I was like, oh wow. So I got a saw and sawed off the sides of the cartridge.
I remember.
Slammed it in and it worked. And we were up all night playing Bare Knuckle, on your one, on the Mega Drive 2. No, there were some good ones. I mean, NBA Jam was amazing. Earthworm Jim was amazing.
Earthworm Jim was amazing, yeah.
It's really hard to
just suddenly remember them. When you're told to remember something, you're just Axe. Golden Axe was amazing. Axe. So you start thinking of those kits as well, like with Super Hang-On and and like columns and stuff like that. There was always a 3. There was like Streets of Rage columns, Streets of Rage 1 columns.
Shinobi. One of them was like a 6-pack and it had like a bunch of games on it. There was also Flicky, which was amazing.
Sega Soccer was always on there, and I loved it. I remember playing that and really enjoying it, but I always thought that the people looked like they had tails, like the people looking around, it looked like they had funny little tails because of the arrows, and I never really got that they were arrows,
No, I never enjoyed the sports games on those consoles. Like, I was never a fan of sports games.
That's not true.
NBA Jam.
Oh no, there's another one that you're forgetting, man, that we played loads. Me, you, and Chris played loads and loads and loads, and it was an excellent sports game. Can you remember what it is on the Mega Drive? I think it might be on the NES.
Yeah, if it's, I mean, there was a couple on the NES. There was obviously like, Track and Field.
I'm thinking of Track and Field 2. Yeah,
no, Track and Field 2 on the NES that's what the original Retro Bros like song was.
Yeah, of course it is.
That's where it came from. But no, adventure games. I mean, some people played like Phantasy Star on the Mega Drive, which was obviously like epic. And I only played a little bit of it, and I played one of the. I think it was Phantasy Star 4 on the Mega Drive on an emulator much later, like it was like years later, and I thought it was really good. There were so many emulated games that I played for the Mega Drive after we had a Mega Drive that I realized was super cool. The first time I ever saw Flicky was in Shenmue, when he's in the arcade and there's
the poster. Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if you could play that game. I wonder where it is. And so when I actually saw the Mega Drive emulation game of it, I was like, oh, you can actually play this. And then I went and bought the actual cartridge of it and stuff. And same with Bart's Nightmare and Bart's...
Bart's Nightmare Bart's Nightmare was definitely one that we played on this... Yeah, Virtual Bart maybe. No, I think actually Virtual Bart...
I'm talking about Virtual Bart. Virtual Bart on the Mega Drive. And it was the worst, most glitchy designed game ever. But it was
brilliant.
Really fun. Yeah.
Then you turn into a pig at one point. Yeah, you're in Krusty's pork factory. Do you know, by the way, we're forgetting one game that we played loads, and number 3 came out
on what?
On the Mega Drive. On the Mega Drive, yeah. Number 3 came out I think this year actually, maybe last year, because we finally got the Kickstarter stuff through.
Toe Jam and L.
Toe Jam and L, man. We played Toe Jam and L loads. Toe Jam and L 1.
Toe Jam and L. It wasn't number 3 that came out this year or last year. Sorry, or the year before last, whenever it was. It was 4, I think.
Yeah, you're right, because number 3 came out on the Xbox.
And that was actually, that was a really weird game, but it was really fun as well. Much later, years later, I found out that actually that game was made for the Dreamcast. So it was kind of almost ported and redesigned for the Xbox or something like that. I don't know. Look it up, and it's like a bit glitchy and unfinished. There's quite a few of those. Might of Magic, the one that you play on the PC.
Yeah, I know.
Of Might and Magic, right? The one you used to play on the PC. That came out on the Dreamcast as well. But
did it?
Yeah. But and so there's a copy of it out there you can buy. And I saw it the other week on someone's YouTube channel, and I was like, oh, I know this game. Yeah. This is that PC game that everyone was addicted to once. And apparently it was just a bit too big. The game was just so you need a PC to be able to play it properly, and it was very glitchy. So they just decided to discontinue it last minute.
You sort of get sucked into this place. It's so funny because it's not really what I would have ever played, and you're just clicking, but you get you disappear. And by doing stuff like that, you can see how people get addicted to WoW and stuff
PC point and click games. They were always just so addictive, the Broken Sword games.
Broken Sword, I was about to say, yeah.
Once before in my life, I'd stood in front of a door and thought, this is it. If I go through there, I'm going to die.
The Roger Rabbit.
Oh my God, yeah, that was a brilliant game.
I can't even remember what it was called. Something.
I couldn't tell you what it was called. That is old, man. That was
Roger Rabbit and Baby Herman.
We had a few games on those really old PCs. To play those sorts of games, you have a disc that you have to spin. It tells you a password, so you can't. I suppose this was the way so you couldn't copy the game or whatever. So you have to click the game, and then it says enter the password, and you have even thinking about it is crazy. A cardboard disc that you turn, and it has little windows. And when you align the windows, they give you a different password each time. Can you remember this?
Just about, yeah. But what just for the PC, you mean?
Just so you can play it. You have to enter this code to play the game. And I suppose it's so you can't give the CD to someone else and they just use it on their PC.
What was the first game, your first memory of ever playing a game?
Ever.
Yeah, ever. Yeah.
Actually, yes, I know. I think one of the first ever games that I really remember was Putty. I think it's called Putty. It was floppy disk. I always remember that. We might have played it on the PC, but we put it in and it was just this blue ball. I've got such a vivid memory of this blue ball with these 2 big eyes, and it would just stretch and stretch up. And if you couldn't reach, it would just fall back down. And I remember a sausage with a fork in it. And it was Scouse. It was come on, then I'll have you now. Come on, and it was so funny.
They brought a remake out, didn't they?
Yes, oh my God, I was working in game at the time, and they brought it out for the PlayStation 3 on launch, and the manager was like, "So stupid they brought this out. What even is that?" And I went, "So this is the manager as well." I looked at him and went, "What are you talking about? That's Super Party." I was really offended because that's like, that's part of my childhood. That's a brilliant game. Yeah, I remember that is my first memory of a game. Yeah.
That's not the same game that is like with the Quavers dude and the ants?
No, that is again similar time. That was cool. That was with the ants, the Quavers dude.
What was that called?
And it was these little dominoes that you knock over. He loses his Quavers, and the ant goes, "I'll get them." And then goes down the hole. So Retro Bro Chris that was a game that he played a lot. And it was those games that I remember watching. They were my first experience of watching a game. I think my first experience of playing a game was probably Bart versus the World. I remember playing a lot of that because I liked playing the games at the beginning, like the puzzle games.
The puzzle,
like
yeah. And even the trivia game was quite fun as well, even when you're young. Because
we knew them all. We watched it.
Like old trivia now, like if you read that stuff now, I'm sure it's like what?
some of it's incorrect now. Like you read it and it's like they've done episodes now that have
changed that.
Yeah.
I was trying to think as well. There is a game that the first game I ever saw, and I don't remember the exact title of it. For some reason I think it's called Powerball, and it's on. It might be on. I can't remember what it's on, but I saw Steve playing it.
Isn't it Speedball? That's the one where Speedball 2 is what Steve used to play on. They think maybe on the Atari. I feel like it's on the Mega Drive. And he'd run around an arena. It's almost like ice hockey, and he'd like throw the balls through the back of the
No. So this was, I'm sure it's called Powerball or something, but basically you're a ball that has to jump like over things and they're coming towards you, and you've got to you're just literally this ball and you've got to just jump over these like objects that are coming your way. It's like one of those old crappy games, but I used to just like be mesmerized watching him play it. And I was so young that I would even watch him as well. And I'd be like, that's my brother, because I didn't really even know what a brother was then. So I'd be like, yes, he's my brother and he's playing that game.
That is brilliant. It's so true. And do you know what? Just while you're on the subject of these obscure, funny games, around that time, this is just flaring up now. Weirdly, we've gone onto PC, but this is pretty retro in its own right. There are two games I want to mention. One is Little Big Adventure, right, which I think was on something else as well as it was on like maybe the PlayStation 1 as well as the PC. But but Little Big Adventure was a game that completely captured my brain when I saw Steve play that. And I remember watching it, and I subsequently went back and replayed it a few years ago, and it's still brilliant. It's so well done. It's so well made. And the other one, we've got to try and find a clip of this for this video, is a skiing game. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Or free skiing or something.
And you just go down the hill, and you've got to avoid everything. And if you avoid everything, I think like a monster just comes out from the tree and goes,
the abominable snowman.
That's it. Yeah.
No, I don't think it's actually abominable snowman. I think it's just a weird kind of, you're playing the game for too long, you need to die, little monster man. And he comes down and gobbles you up. I do, yeah. I think it's called Free Ski or Ski. It's one of those games on the PC that were just free back in the 90s, during the times of dial-up connections, and no one really had it.
Minesweeper and like
exactly. And there's another one in my mind. It's like right there, but that we used to play. I think I'm thinking of Pod.
I see. You've told me about Pod before, but I could never remember it. And I feel like that's something from the TV Boy or something like.
No. The TV Boy obviously was just Spider-Man and a few classics like that. But no, Pod was. I think it was on the Amiga, and it was like one of those weird interactive games. It was on the BBC.
Yeah. But what was the BBC? Was that not a PC or something?
I don't know.
I always remember hearing that, but yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so we should do this again. Maybe
for sure.
This is our like introduction to.
This is the introduction.
Yeah, reminiscing about old stuff, but also just to see what people think, and if they want more of it, we can keep doing them.
And also, maybe if anyone out there has questions, because obviously right now we've gone off on many tangents. So what would be good is like if you have a question, like what was your what was your first experience of this, or where was the first time you played this or saw this, or if you have questions that you want us to answer or talk about, then let us know.
Absolutely, yeah, that's always welcome. So until next time, and I'm sure next time will be a bit more like kind of cohesive as a whole, right? We'll try and think of one question to stick on, but I'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, and until then, stay tuned for another episode of the Retro Bros.